Morning, and welcome to a War at Sea Fleet Command video for Avalanche Press's Great War at Sea. Specifically, this is Jutland, because that's the module I have available right now. But I wanted to show you how to use submarines, and I think this is going to be a good video. It should be pretty quick. First thing though, before I started, is I wanted to just take a moment to show you a operational game with the pieces plotted. We've got a fleet here, Fleet 2 in Hull, that's trying to go up to Cromarty, and one from Cromarty to go down to Hull. This Fleet 1 is that's the Germans. This Fleet 1 is a transport and a destroyer, and then Fleet 2 is a couple of cruisers. So I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to go grab all these counters and delete them. So I'm going to grab them. I just wanted you to see what these all look like. So I'm going to hit the D key, and then I've got the last ones to get. So the D key again, and off they go. So we're not going to worry about the plot for this. We're just going to go ahead and worry about the submarine portion of it. So the next thing I want to do is I want to deploy my submarines. So the Germans have two fleets here. When you place these fleets, those flotillas, you have to keep the flotillas 5 hexes apart. You can't set them up closer than that. And each flotilla really controls a 2-hex zone of control. So if I take flotilla 7 here and select it with the command key and drag it out to S21, and I'll grab the other one, the U-boat 8, I'll select that and drag that out here to Hull. I know that if I put it here, it's not going to be the required distance apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess that will work. So Fleet 7 or Flotilla 7 is 2 U-boats, and Flotilla 8 is a UB. So the UB has just 1 solitary torpedo, and the U's have 3 torpedoes each. So there's a lot more punch in that Fleet 7. So let's go ahead and close up the fleet box. The fleet box, by the way, are found under your private players, your Entente, or your central powers, and that's where you keep your fleets organized. So I'm going to, the fleet 1 is going to move every turn, and you can see the speeds here, the operational speeds. This is in the charts in the operational section. 1 very slow, which that transport is 1 sea zone per turn. And the cruisers are all speed 1, and they can move 2 sea zones per turn. So I'm going to start moving them, and I'm going to move this guy. So I'm going to select them with the command key, move them 1 and 2, and that is, by the way, on its plot. These guys are, of course, grayed out a little bit because they are invisible to the opponent. We're playing in the solo mode, so we can see both sides. This one, however, is not. So if I click on the fleet and drag him out and move 1 hex or 1 square, he is spotted, as you can see here. So this means that the Central Powers player knows where he is, and the British player only knows where his fleets are. So this is ready to actually go into combat. So the U-boat here, U-boat 7, so there's turn 1. So we're going to go and, whoops, we don't need to do all that. We can go turn 1, it's dawn, it's moved. So U-boat 7 is going to try and make a contact. So to roll a contact, what you have to do is you have to roll a 9 or higher. And I'm going to go to the table here for submarines, and you have to roll a 9 or higher, and you're rolling on 2 dice, and you get some pluses. So you get a night turn is a +1, a submarine commander is a +1, fleet did not enter a new sea zone is a +1, so going slow. So we don't actually have, we do have, it's not a night turn, right? So he's turned daylight, so we don't get that +1. One of these submarines is an ace, and I should show you that on that fleet, Central Powers fleet. You'll see that there are 2 subs here. This guy here is an ace, and to get him, you click on it, right click, and you can choose sub ace, or you can hit the up arrow key, and it just cycles through that. So we have 1 sub ace, so we're going to go with that. We're going to start with the 1 sub ace. So he needs an 8 or higher, and the fleet did not enter. No, he did enter a new zone. So we're going to roll 2 dice, and we're going to get 6. So the +1 is 7. So the ace, the boat with the ace in it, U1, I think, doesn't make a contact. So we're going to roll for boat 2, and it rolls an 8. Well, if he had the sub ace, he would have made the catch, but he didn't. Now we go down here to fleet 2. Fleet 2 has 1 submarine. He needs an 8 or excuse me, a 9 or higher, and he rolls a 7, so there's no sub contact. So we go to the next turn. In turn 2, I'm going to click on my fleet here, and I'm going to move it 1 space, 2 spaces. Now, it's within the range of the submarine. It started in that hex, it moved to the next hex. So we're going to take a shot there in a minute, but we're going to come back to that. So I'm going to click off, because if you don't click off, you end up selecting multiple units. So I'm going to command click on this unit and move it 1 hex. Okay, so let's go to the contact. So U-boat fleet 8 is going to roll 2 dice. It rolls a 7. It does not make contact. So those cruisers are going to be out of the way pretty quick. Fleet 1, though, has 2 boats checking. One has a submarine ace. So the submarine ace boat is rolling a 7. That gets +1 is 8, so he does not make contact. The other boat there rolls a 7. He does not make contact. Go to the third turn. Now, this fleet 1 here with the transports and the destroyers does not know that that submarine is there. And this guy here can move 2. 1, 2. And this submarine can move 1 hex, 1 square a day, and it's the first turn of the day. So we don't have that able to move. So that one's pretty much out of combat. So I'm going to roll for my contacts again. So I'm going to try the ace fleet with this fleet 1. I'm going to try the non-ace fleet with fleet 2, because now it's in range. So the ace fleet rolls and he misses. The non-ace fleet rolls a 10. So the submarine, you see on the chart, the submarine may attack any ASW escort. There's no ASW escort, there's just the 2 cruisers. And if no ASW escort, it may attack any ship. So I'm going to go ahead and attack that ship. And that is going to be, I'm going to pick which one I'm going to pick. Actually, you don't pick. What you do with torpedoes and from submarines is you put the counters in a bag and randomly pick one. Or you can roll dice for it, or you can come up with any acceptable method for you to see that. So I'm going to just pick one here, and I'm going to pick the Brilliant. So I'm firing at Brilliant. And I've got 1 unit here. So now I just fire and roll a normal hit. 5. So I'm not on the same hex. Well, that would be a tactical one anyway. So a 5 actually is So 5 is actually really good here. When you're playing with submarines here on the operational chart, the hit is a 5 or a 6. So we made a hit on the Brilliant. So I'm going to roll 2 dice for damage, and I'm going to go look at my damage tables. So where's damage? Damage is over here. Combat, and we're going to scroll over and scroll down. So I rolled a 6. It's 2 hulls and 2 tertiaries. So Brilliant only has 2 hulls, and you can kill a tertiary too. So if I select it, press Shift 3, I kill the tertiary, and I'm going to hit Shift 8 and Shift 8. So Brilliant is down to 0, and if I right click on him, I can now send him sunk, and that now shows up in the graveyard. There's your sunk ship. Okay, so that was actually a pretty good shot. Now, you don't have any more ASW because there's no contact in the ship, in the fleet with the ASW. So we're going to go to the next turn, and we're going to turn 4, and I'm going to move this guy here. The fleet 1 is going to move out of the torpedo zone. Fleet 2 is going to move into the torpedo zone. All right, the U-boat zone. So let's go ahead and roll contacts. We're going to roll both of them on this fleet here because this fleet is the transport. So I really want to get those transports. So I'm going to roll 2 dice for this ace. The ace does not get a contact, needs an 8 or higher. The regular sub rolls, he needs a 5 or higher, so there's nothing. Move the turn, and now it's night. So now I get a +1 on sighting because the U-boat could be on the surface, and he wasn't before. So I'm going to move that, and then I'm going to move fleet 2. Now they're still in range because it's a range of 2. So the U-boats are both going to try and attack this guy. So I'm going to, oh, this guy actually should have moved too. So I'm going to move him further up. So next turn, the last cruiser is going to make it into port, but the fleet might not do the fleet in one. So let's try it one more time. 2 contacts, a 9, so it comes out of 10, comes out 11 because we have a +1 for the knight and +1 for the ace. So I've got contact, and I can shoot at anything I want in there. So I'm going to shoot at the transports. So I'm going to fire my dice, and I don't get a 5 or a 6, so it's out. And then the boat without the leader is rolling. He rolls a 4, so he's done. So now the turn moves, and the last of the cruisers gets in, and the last of the range on the transport fleet is now out of range of U-boat fleet 7. So I'm just going to go on one more turn daylight. So it's the first turn. So I'm going to click on my other U-boat squadron or flotilla, and I'm going to move it forward 1. So now 7 can move also, but 7, it's actually interesting. I'm glad I did that because look, now I'm within 2. So I've got a shot here. So let's take the shot from the UB boat, and I'm going to fire 2 dice. I don't get a hit because it needs to be a 9 or higher. I'm going to roll for the ace. It's an 8 or higher. He misses, and I'm going to roll for the non-ace boat, and that's a 4, so he misses. Increment turn, select, move. Now only the UB is in range, rolls a 10, so he gets to hit. Okay, so there is an ASW attack here because at 10, I have to attack the ASW, or I have to allow the ASW before I can make my attack. And I can only attack the ASW, not the fleet. The ASW being the destroyer patrol. So I'm going to roll 1 dice for each counter, and I'm going to roll a 4. So 4 is no effect here on the anti-submarine warfare chart 16.4. Then there's no effect. So that is it for the ASW, and my attack is a 6. So I hit one of the destroyers. So I'm going to roll 2 dice. I rolled a 5. I'm going to go back to my damage, and I'm going to look at torpedo damage, 5, 2 hulls. So now I'm going to go look at fleet 1, and I'm on the wrong fleet. There's the British fleet. So I take this guy and I look at his ship data, and I see that all the hulls are just 1 each. So I'm going to take 1 off of this, and then I can indicate that the ship is sunk by hitting this decrease. So now I see that there's only 2 ships left in that. This has been a pretty good game so far. I'm actually really happy. Okay, so now we're going to hit the turn again. So turn 9 is daylight. So the selected fleet here is going to move. All right, and then we're going to do our sightings again. So I've got 1 sub, and he's fired his torpedo, right? I forgot to do that. So on his torpedo for the UB, there was the ship data, and the torpedo is fired. So we set that to 0. Okay, so that sub has no more torpedoes. So we're done. And I forgot to take one off of this guy earlier, but you understand. So that's it. That's how submarines work. And I could keep going, but since there's no torpedoes, we're not going to get it. I would generally leave the the plot markers on, but that's a little too much actually for this time of the morning. It's a little confusing. It works great, but you just got to take it slow to figure out where each of those plots is. Anyway, that's how you move submarines, or how you combat with submarines. When they're within range, which is 2, then it's 1 before 1911. but it's normally 2. You roll for contact. You can take the pluses if you got a submarine ace or if it's at night. If you make a contact, then you got to decide whether the contact is a, here we go. You got to decide whether the contact is contact but may not attack. That means that you at least know that there's a fleet, and or it's a submarine may attack an ASW or it can attack any ship in the convoy. And the way you attack is by random. And otherwise you can choose the ASW or the contents of the fleet, but you can't go in necessarily to just pick off an individual ship. You have to go with a random there, and you take your shot. It's a regular torpedo shot. It's a 5 or 6 actually. You take that shot. If it's a hit, then you roll damage and you apply it to your ships, and you're done. Anyway, that's it for today, and come back and enjoy some more videos on the channel. Thank you.